Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video might ruffle a few fins, but I think it needs to be talked about. I keep seeing posts within the mermaid community talking about people gatekeeping silicone methods used to make mermaid tails, mermaid tops, and accessories. I totally get it. It can feel very overwhelming when you're starting off and you feel like everyone knows something that you don't. But I want to talk about the other side of that. Because in my experience, gatekeeping is not what is stopping individuals from creating. What is? Waiting for permission. No one taught me. When I first started working with silicone, I was not given a to-do list. I didn't DM mermaid creators who worked with silicone or silicone casters, asking them what clay they use, what pigments work best, or what silicone brand do they use. What I did was I went on Amazon. I got the cheapest casting and silicone mold thing that I could afford at the time. And I just started messing around working with silicone. I used basic clay. I sculpted a starfish by hand. It was rough, but I made something and I started. From there, I got to learn what worked and what didn't work. I played with different pigments. Some didn't mix so well as others, and some looked amazing. And those pigments I still use to this day. I experimented with glow-in-the-dark pigments, color-changing pigments, and pearlish effects. Sometimes the silicone did not cure properly, and I would scratch my head for hours wondering what went wrong. And then I was able to take a step back and realize, the temperature of my house was too cold, or it was too humid, or the heat was causing the silicone to cure too fast, or the cold was not allowing the silicone to cure properly. But every single mistake that I made me better. You can't skip the mess. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Someone can tell you how to work with silicone and give you a list of all the materials that they use, but until you actually do it, it won't mean anything. You won't feel how the different density of silicone can affect your art piece, or how time sensitive the curing process is for certain silicone products, or how tiny pigment ratios can affect the overall color of whatever you're making. You have to feel it and experience it to understand it, not read it off a list. If you only rely on tutorials and tips from other creators, you're skipping the most important part, the learning curve that makes you better. That's not gatekeeping, that is growth. What's really holding you back? Now, I'm not saying creators should not share information. Absolutely should when we can. I love seeing others succeed and grow through experiences, developing their skill over figuring out what works and what actually doesn't. That is the beauty of growing a business or expanding and developing a craft. But I also believe that some people are using the idea of gatekeeping as an excuse of why they haven't started. Not because they can't, but because they are afraid to fail. And I want to be very clear here. Failure is not a bad thing. It is the best teacher that you're ever going to have. Every silicone top, every dive toy has been built on mountains of failures. I can't count how many times that I have casted a mold and it didn't cure properly, and I had to throw that material away and start over and figure out what I did wrong. You know that octopus belt that I made? I had to sculpt the first one 3 times because the silicone that I used to cast the octopus weight belt did not actually cure properly. Imagine having to re-sculpt that highly detailed belt 3 times. I kid you not, I was frustrated beyond belief. But the difference is I continued, I worked through it, and I figured out what I was doing wrong based on me. I didn't go ask another creator, why isn't this not working? Or, I tried everything and nothing's working and this is the reason why I'm never going to create this thing. No. I sat down, I took a deep breath, and I said, here we go again. And I continued and pushed forward. If you need a sign, this is it. If you've been telling yourself, I can't make this or start silicone because no one has shown me. I've emailed creators and they're gatekeeping the information. I don't know what materials to buy. I've researched and I can't seem to pinpoint one specific thing I want to do. I'm afraid to mess up and I'm scared to spend the money and mess up and waste all that money on this. Let me stop you right there. Go buy a starter kit. Go on Amazon and buy a casting, and sculpting starter kit right now. Pick a shape. You can go out and buy a pre-made mold shape made out of resin because silicone will not stick to resin. So look for a resin mold that you can use to cast silicone. Maybe get yourself a release spray so that when the mold comes out, it will come out as one piece and not be difficult or stick to the mold itself. Pour your first mold. When you go into this, you will mess up at some point or sometime or some aspect of the method you're doing. You will mess up, and that is okay. That is how you learn. You do not need perfect information to get started. You need to start to find better information. So in the end, the creators out there who are sharing their tips and tricks, creating tutorials, thank you. It's awesome. Keep doing it. For the ones watching from the sideline, waiting for the perfect roadmap to just show them the way, that roadmap does not exist. What exists is a path you make by walking it. Gatekeeping is real in some areas, but most of the time, the only thing stopping you is you. So don't use the excuse of gatekeeping or that creators are gatekeeping information from you, because the real thing is you are stopping you. And sometimes that is very difficult for someone to accept. The first step is accepting that truth. Thank you so much for watching. If this helps you shift your perspective, or you've gone through a similar journey of having to go through and figure out your own roadmap by learning by doing, drop a comment below and I would love to hear your story. And as always, keep creating even though it's messy and you may fail.